gets them from, right? You can get them from us, they're the same. And it's really a compliment to see bottles now printed. I remember when I was a little girl and I would buy the fake perfume, right? Poison was one of the perfumes that was very popular. I'm going to date myself, right? And you get the little fake perfume that says, you know, compared to poison. Well, now we have bottles that say compared to doTERRA's On Guard or doTERRA's Holiday Joy, whatever it is that they're comparing to. But the fact is that 84% of them are exclusive. Just as we have the exclusivity with Salvatore and Cecilia and their family, we have exclusivity with so many other amazing, beautiful growers around the world. So as we really started to distill down what we wanted it to look like as far as working directly with growers, we came up with the term co-impact sourcing, because it truly is all about the people, right, who are taking care of the plants, who are stewards of the plants. And those plants create an amazing product which comes back to bless all of the people. And it really goes full circle that way. So I found myself last year in this crazy place with a lot of red dirt. Can anyone imagine where I was at? Paraguay. Right next to the border of Brazil. And the reason that I was there was because Paraguay produces amazing petitgrain oil. And we were looking for the world's finest. So something we do when we go into a developing country is we find an NGO, a non-government organization, and we work with them because we have to have organization on the ground. And when you deal with these developing countries, oftentimes there's no organization. You have to have someone that can really figure out what their needs are to be able to support them in their efforts. And so we worked with Fundación Paraguaya first to see how we might be able to pull things together. And then as we went deep into the jungle, into a very, very remote area, they had been producing petitgrain, but that market had actually, the bottom had fallen out of the market. And so you saw many distilleries that had crumbled to the ground that were no longer there. There were only a few distilleries that were still standing. And the reason the market fell was because you had a lot of greedy brokers that were working with them. And they started adding petroleum products to extend the petitgrain oil. And so it became a very impure product. Even though the people were producing a very pure, beautiful product, the brokers got greedy. And so they lost their buyers. So all of these people lost their jobs. And now here they are sitting in the jungle with really no way to provide for their families. Yet they know how to distill petitgrain oil. That's what they know. That's all they know. And so as we went in, we found this precious family who was still distilling petitgrain, and who was using one of the co-op distilleries that were still functioning. What I loved about these people as I watched them work together is that they all come together as a community. So he was borrowing someone else's oxen, he was borrowing someone else's distillery, and as he and his son went to load the still, everyone there that actually owned the distillery, they came out of their homes and started helping. And I just love the spirit of the people there in Paraguay. So if we could play the video, I'd love for you to see what we've been able to create now since our visit with this beautiful oil. We have been seeking a sustainable source of petitgrain for quite some time. And when we found a source in Paraguay, we were really, really excited. As we went in, it was quite an adventure. Got all the red mud, and of course the rains came down as we came in, which made it all the more fun. But I wasn't expecting what I found as we entered.
We look for the country or the area that's producing the best oils, and in the back of our minds, the area where we can have the most impact. Petitgrain has always been produced in Paraguay. It's been there for at least a century. So we wanted the best oil we could get. We wanted to make a difference in the lives of people who needed help. So we went to Paraguay.
was a particular family that really stole my heart, a father and son team. And as they loaded up this little wooden cart that was drawn by an oxen, this oxen was borrowed by another member in the community and was just loaned to him. And as they filled this cart up and took it down to the distillery that was owned by yet another community member, and to see them work together as father and son. This was very labor intensive. These distilleries in Paraguay are different from any distilleries I've ever seen. They're actually made out of wood. They're a very simple structure. But in order to make them work, you've got to seal them up and make them very, very tight, but yet have enough ventilation that you have the steam that can come through. That means they take this very rich red dirt and they cover the still after it's been filled with the plant material. And it works perfectly that way.
I'm really excited about petitgrain essential oil. Now, petitgrain, like all essential oils, has great diversity within its chemistry, a lot of complexity within its chemistry, and that always equates to greater benefits that we see when we use the essential oils. It's very similar to what we see in lavender in that we have linalool and we have linalool acetate. Only in petitgrain essential oil we see a complete reversal of that chemistry. But we still get all the wonderful soothing and healthy benefits that we see. We know that it's relaxing and calming to the body, great for supporting digestion, an oil that's simple to use with this beautiful aroma that has a little bit of a earthy tone to it, but you can certainly pick up some of the citrus and more floral aromas as well.
By working with rural farmers and rural areas that are very impoverished, we'll be able to provide jobs for the farmers themselves and give incentive for their children to stay there and work the land that they have been working for decades. We've met with a lot of farmers who are anxious to get involved in petitgrain again. Many farmers have let their trees grow and not harvested for years. Their distillation facilities are rotted. They no longer have them. They've let their wells collapse. Since Doterra has started working in Paraguay, it's sparked a new interest in petitgrain production in these areas, which is exciting to see because it gives them a bigger vision of what can be done in their communities. It can give them a bigger vision of what they can do on their lands.
I'm so excited to help these beautiful people, to bring back to a market an oil that has been part of their heritage for many generations, and we get to now bring that back. They're now partnered with us. We get to support them through our compact sourcing efforts, and they know that they get a fair price, and I love that we're able to do that. That also guarantees us a very pure, quality, potent product because we work with them from the ground up. Oils that truly is the passion of the people. So let's talk a little bit about petitgrain. You compare it, they call it the man's lavender, right? Because from a composition standpoint, it's very, very similar to lavender. You're going to have higher levels of linalool acetate, little lower levels of linalool. Now linalool is going to be very calming, very soothing. The linalool acetate is going to be very regenerative to the tissues, to the cells. And so those that may not like lavender might like petitgrain. It's a little bit more herbal in its aroma, a little more bitter than lavender, but it's absolutely amazing. So to help you go to sleep, had a lot of people have great success as far as any type of skin irritation. My aunt had shingles and was amazed at what petitgrain did for her in that regard. So it's going to be very supportive to the cardiovascular function. It's great for immune support as well, to rub on the bottoms of your feet. It's amazing, very astringent, so it's actually going to help shrink the size of the pores, so great for the face as well. I recommend dilution if you're going to use it on the face. But so many different ways to use petitgrain. This man just, I don't know, he just kind of wiggled right into my heart. As we went and met with them, he lived in a little teeny tiny shack, one-room shack, and you had holes between the slats that were about an inch wide. He had 11 children, 11. And he lost his ability to provide for his family. Now, there are different levels of poverty. Everyone in this area lives in poverty, but there are different levels. And usually you can tell by looking around their home to see what type of animals they have. Some of them you'll see pigs and ducks and chickens roaming around, and they're doing pretty well from a poverty level standpoint. This particular family had one very, very small chicken running around their home. That was it. They were just living off of whatever they could get out of the jungle. And you can look in his eyes to see that he has that desire to work hard. He loves distilling petitgrain. We got to give him his dignity back by providing him with a sustainable job to provide for his family. We truly are changing the world, one drop, one person, one community at a time. A year ago, we had Forbes magazine interview Dave and I, as well as Tim Valentiner, who's the director of our sourcing team, because they had seen the global impact that we were making in the way we sourced our essential oils. And they interviewed us to share with other companies how they might start to do it the right way as well. And I hope more companies will start to catch on. You look at the global impact that we're making today. We're providing over 20,000 jobs simply through our compact sourcing initiatives. And these are the only ones that we can document. And you can see how that's going to continue to grow into the future.